Hey there, it's Kenzie from Details to Enjoy, and today I'm going to be making the Colonial Stars insert kit. We're going to be working on the Colonial Stars Kit, which when it's finished will look something like this, but for today's project we're going to be using different colors just to get a little bit of a different look. First, I wanted to show you everything that comes in this kit. So we have our 3 insert pieces up here. We have our 3D star pieces. We have a template that's going to help us place those stars. We've got an instruction card that has the basics of how to go through the project. And then this black paper is just for packaging, but I will show you something that you can do with this a little bit later on. For colors, I'm going to be doing red, white, and blue stripes. The red is going to be Allure by Behr. The white is going to be Silky White, which is also a Behr color. And then the blue is going to be Dark Navy, which again is a Behr color. But what I need your guys' help with is I don't know what I want to do for my stars. I could either paint them white with this white paint, or I could spray paint them gold. So let me know in the poll what you think I should do. I'm gonna start off with painting my 3 insert pieces. So I have a foam tray here to put my paint on, and I also have some foam brushes, one for each color. And if you guys are interested in these kinds of supplies, we do sell them on our website, so I'll add a swipe up link for that here. I already have the first coat of red on that piece, and now I'm gonna be working on the white. And if you've ever watched any of my other YouTube videos or stories, you probably know what I'm about to say, but you always want to work in thin coats when you are painting. It's always best to do multiple thin layers rather than one thick layer. It's going to dry faster and you're going to end up with a smoother finish. So I'm just getting this first coat of white on here. And with white, I'm probably going to need to do I would guess 3 coats to get a really solid, nice coverage on the white, but with the red and the blue, I'll probably only need 1 or 2 coats. So I just did a quick coat of blue on this stripe, and with the blue, it covers really well, so I think this is going to be enough coverage on this one. But I do want to do 1 more coat on the red and probably 2 on the white, and these are already dry, so I can go ahead and get started on that. And then really quickly, I just wanted to mention that I'm not painting the edges because you're not going to see them. So I'm just doing the top face of these pieces. Okay, so here are all 3 of our pieces painted. We did 1 coat of blue, 3 coats of white, and 2 coats of red. And all of that, including drying time, took about 15 to 20 minutes. So it's really a quick process. And now I'm going to sand them. One of the fun parts about this being a 3-piece insert is you can get some really good distressing. So you can see here, even though we use the same color on every piece, we still got some definition of the stripes by distressing. So I might not distress quite this much, but I do still want to sand these down and give them a little bit of distressing. And for that, I'm going to be using these sanding blocks. These are also in our shop, so I'll add a swipe up link for them here. Sanding will alter the color a little bit, especially with a dark piece like this. So I'm just going to give it a really light sand on the top, and then I will go in a little bit heavier on the edges to get that distressed look. So I'm just kind of going a little bit rougher, and I'm going more at like a 45-degree angle to get these nice distressed edges. One thing to keep in mind is that this, when it slides into the frame, you're not going to see these outer edges here. So if you do want any distressing on there, you're going to have to come a little bit further in. And then on the corners, the same thing. But I'm just going to leave it like this. And now that it's all sanded, I'm going to make sure to wipe away all of the excess dust so that doesn't affect anything later on. I'm just using a rag, a dry rag for this. And I'm going to wipe up all of this excess dust. And then when I move on to my next color, I'm going to make sure that I use a new clean sponge because as you can see, this one's really dirty and I don't want any of this blue getting onto the red. Now that we have all of our pieces painted and sanded, it's time to move on to the stars, and it looks like the winning vote is gold, so I'm gonna get set up to go spray paint outside. To prevent the stars from moving around in here as I'm spraying, I put some painter's tape down and then stuck the stars to the tape. And then for the paint, I'm going to be using this Rustoleum metallic paint, pardon the dirty can, and this is in metallic gold. When you're assembling this kit, you do not need to attach these 3 pieces together. You can slide them each individually into the frame, and then the frame will hold them in place. However, if you are wanting to attach these pieces for some reason, like for us, we do attach them because we travel with these kits and have them at shows on display outside of a frame. So like this one is attached together. To do that, you can use this paper that is included in the kit as packaging, but you will need to cut it down because it's too thick to fit into the track with the insert. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this narrower and show you guys how that works. This paper, just like our inserts, is 6 inches wide and 5.5 inches tall. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it to be 5 inches wide, and I'll keep the height at 5.5. So I just already made a mark here on my paper, and I'm just going to cut it with some scissors. To keep everything in place when I add the backer paper, I'm just putting the insert pieces into the frame upside down, and I'm making sure that I have the order of the stripes still correct. So I'll slide this in, and then as you can see, there's a little bit of play from side to side. So to make sure that they're all lined up together, I'm going to tilt my frame and give it a little tap to make sure they're all sitting against this side. And now that everything's in place and lined up, I can add my paper. Probably the best tool to use to attach the paper would be a tape runner, but since I don't have one of those on hand, I'm going to be using hot glue, but I'll need to work pretty quickly. So I'm going to add a dollop of glue in a couple of spots on this paper, and then just flip it over and place it into about the center. And I wanna make sure that I'm working quickly so that the glue doesn't dry before I have a chance to adhere it. All of my pieces are now attached together with the paper, and I do have a few tips and notes about doing this technique if you are choosing to attach your pieces together. So the first note is to not use a detailed glue gun. I just wasn't able to get enough glue out of the tip quick enough, so I would have just used a normal glue gun if you have one of those on hand. The other thing is I did get a little bit of misalignment here where these don't line up perfectly. But since this is just hot glue and it doesn't have the strongest bond, I can just go ahead and take this piece off and reattach it. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm also going to trim off this excess paper up here. Now it's time for my favorite part, which is adding the 3D pieces. And we have 2 things that make this super simple. The first is the template, which when I place this on here, I'm going to make sure that my top star is centered versus down here where there's not like a center star. So once I have that placed, I can use the second part that makes this super easy, which is the peel and stick backing on the pieces. So I just have to peel that off, and then I can place that into my template, making sure it's centered, and then give it a nice little press to make sure that it's stuck. Here is the finished insert, and I'm ready to slide it into my 6x6 pocket frame. This is the pre-stained one. So I can just put that into the front track and then pop my lid on, and there it is, all finished. And here are the 2 samples together. The first one that was the kind of distressed navy, and then the new one that is in the red, white, and blue. Let me know which one you guys prefer, red, white, and blue or navy.